Welcome back to part 2 of this special edition of Kazi na Mali, where we try to put into perspective the raft of measures the government is coming up with to try and cushion the economy during this grappling moment of coronavirus. It's not affecting just Kenya, but the economies across the globe, even the biggest of them all, China, talk of America, talk of all the big economies in Europe are being hit. We come back to what we are talking about. These are good measures, right?
Yes.
Now let's talk about those people who might lose jobs as far as this COVID-19 is concerned, because some companies are not going to run on a normal way. Mm-hmm. So some of them may be set aside or asked to take forced leave. Are these measures going to cover them too? Those people who might lose jobs. Talk about the aviation sector, talk about the tourism sector, talk about the flower industry.
Yes.
What of them?
These measures are going to help, but as we look at the tax reliefs you've just talked about, we see that the mostly affected people are the employees, those who are employed. But that takes us to the turnover tax, where it has been reduced from 3% to 1%. We are coming from a background where those employed felt like those who are in business are not taxed. Because one of the challenges, Vincent, is these SMEs are not able to keep to do good bookkeeping, and therefore they don't keep records very well 100%. So this brings the issue of knowing their gross sales and what can be taxed, and therefore there is a lot of approximation done to know how much they tax them. But when you see the government reducing it to 1%, it's going to help them, because it means they can sell more. It goes to help the sales of a company. These SMEs will be able to sell more, and at the same time have a little disposable income left for them to be able to do more business.
So that means that for every 100 shillings, they're going to just give one
shillings. Yes. It is going to be 1 shillings for every 100 shillings. Yes. That they sell. So this is going to help a lot. And now we look at also the central bank coming in. The banks have also tried to help in putting these measures in place, because we look at the bank reducing the interest rate. The base rate has reduced by around 1%, which is also a good thing, because it means the SMEs are able to get more money in circulation. We look at the central bank reserve ratio has also come down, and this is helping to the tune of about 35.2 billions that is going to be disposable for people to use or to borrow. The commercial banks have this money to give to the borrowers. This is going to help them, even though there would be a lockdown or something, and a government is able, the citizens are able to borrow more from these banks. It's going to help them, because they can be able to reach these commodities, they can buy the basic items, and this is going to help them in this breakdown or in this time of COVID-19 to be able to survive. Yes.
Let's talk about pending bills. The president ordered Treasury to release end pending bills.
Yes.
And actually it's into a tune of around 13 billion shillings.
Yes.
In 3 weeks.
Yes.
In 3 weeks to the businesses, and also expedite what we call VAT refunds to the registered companies, and that is into a tune of around 10 billion too.
Yes.
Do you think this is a good move that is going to keep business running?
Yes.
At this period?
Yes, it is going to be. It is a good move to keep the business running, because when these bills are paid, when the suppliers are paid, still goes back to the issue of releasing more money to these businesses so that they are able to reproduce. And you see, in turn, when the companies are able to reproduce, it means they'll also pay tax to the government, and the government will have something to use to bring back again to the common mwananchi. And therefore it's a two-edged thing, where when this is done in 3 weeks as directed, it is going to help the money released into the public to be able to support even the local industries, for example, because there are people who started businesses, but because these have their bills have not been paid, their invoices are still pending, so they're not able to bring more business, and therefore this money is going to help them do more business, and it's going to help the economy at large. When you look at the tax refunds, if KRA is able to release the tax refunds for what is pending, it's also going to release and help the businesses to bounce back, to be able to do more, reproduce, to give more to the economy. So it's a good thing, it's a good move.
It's a good move.
Yeah.
The president also ordered the treasury to consider the local companies that have been buffeted by low sales and earnings to pay a lower tax of 25% on profits, down from the current 30%. And this translates to free cash piles for corporates to ensure that business is running. Now, the problem is that all these measures require the approval from Parliament. How quick is that going to happen, and how quick is it going to last? Because Parliament will decide how quick these measures are going to become effective and for how long.
Okay, this is expected to become effective from 1st of April, which is not very far away from now. And
it's actually tomorrow.
It's actually tomorrow, Vincent. And we are hoping that, everyone is hoping that this will be passed. Because if this does not come along, then it means the citizens will be left with nothing to show. And what everyone is asking is, can this last for longer? Although, on the other hand, I was thinking, Vincent, we need also to think about the government. We also need to think about how it takes care of its people. We need to think about its income. The government gets its income from the taxes and the interests that are paid by the citizens, and therefore we are crying out that the government slashes everything, but at the end of it, we also need the government to be able to have something to cater for these mwananchi. And this is where now we talk about people bouncing back the businesses so that people can be able to pay taxes and continue with running the economy and making it healthy day in, day out. And therefore, I think it's going to help, and people need to take their position and be able to do the right thing at any point. Make sure you pay tax. It has now been reduced. Pay it the right way. Even the Bible talks of paying the Caesar what belongs to the Caesar. Yeah. So we need to help the government. As the citizens, we also need to look at the government. For the government to be able to help us, we also need to help it. And that is why even when we look at this pandemic of COVID-19, the government is asking us to keep safe, to take personal precautionary measures and initiative. And sometimes we are defying that by not doing it. And this calls for all of us to make sure we do it so that we can also help the government.
The government in helping us. Now, for the first time, we are looking at the prospect of a president earning less than his juniors. The president and the deputy president are going to earn less than their juniors, because the president announced as one of the measures that he put forth, that him and the deputy are going to take an 80% pay cut. And then he asked the CSS to take a 30%, and their PSS and the CSS, that's the Chief Administrative Secretary, to take 20%. For the first time in a country like Kenya, we know the president is going to earn around 250,000 Kenyan shillings from 1.4 or something.
Yes.
What did this move surprise you as a person?
I would say this comes down to patriotism, because it means this is somebody who loves the country. And on the other hand, Vincent, it tells us how serious this pandemic is. And it's trying to communicate to all of us that it is serious and we need to do something. It's actually calling for action for everyone, from the president down to everyone. here. And that is why the other time we talked about even cutting our spending just what is necessary, because it means it's serious. And as he takes a pay cut, some people may not understand it, but it means we need to bring money to the economy. We need to allow that money, and that is why I'm happy that he started an emergency reserve fund and even asking people to donate. I think it's something we should be thinking about. It is something we should consider, so that whoever has some savings, whoever has some extra money to spend at their disposal can help to save our economy, because at the end of it, it bites us back as a country, so that we can be able to support the economy from collapsing. So it's a caution to help everyone survive in this pandemic.
This period.
Yes.
And you know, the president also asked other state officials to take voluntary reductions, and that is why we've seen even the speakers of the National Assembly and the Senate have taken an initiative voluntarily and said that they are going to take a 30% salary pay cut. Look at the Chief Justice Maraga also announced that he's going to take a pay cut of 30%. This is patriotism. And we've seen also governors, several governors coming up and saying we are going to take a pay cut so that we support the initiative by the president.
Yes.
It's necessary at this period.
Yes, it is necessary. And I also remember I watched in the news somewhere that a landlord has relieved his tenants for 2 months or thereabout, or for the period that this pandemic will last. And therefore, it's a kind gesture to communicate. Actually, it communicates a lot to everyone that things are not as usual. Things are different, and we all need to participate in this. There's no one who is going to watch and sit, but everyone needs to do something. In your jurisdiction, you can do something. If there's somewhere you can save you for yourself and for people around you, you can be able to help as well. Yeah, because we have these people who don't know how they will pay rent or how they will eat. But when someone comes to relieve them of that, it really helps. It counts.
As even we come to the tail end of this conversation and trying to put into perspective as far as these measures are concerned, let's talk about the Credit Referencing Bureau. Now it's time that the president said that it's going to they have suspended actually any loan payment that have been accrued until April 1st, from April 1st, that's tomorrow. Can you talk in 30 seconds about that and the effects of that? And then are we looking at a looming total lockdown, but the president coming up with an emergency response fund that he ordered Treasury to start accruing from yesterday?
Okay, when you talk of the CRB, so to say, people are happy that they have been relieved, because the people who have been listed on CRB can now access loan. The government did this to help everyone access funds that can help them survive, at least in this particular period.
Are we looking at a total lockdown? Is it looming?
It is. Somehow it's looming, but I cannot say it definitely, because if we can be able to do immediate measures that can stop the spread of the same, we can be able to stop it. But as things look as at now, we need to be cautioned. We need to keep safe. We need to do what we can.
And that is it.
Be prepared.
We need to be prepared, and that is why there is actually a curfew, dusk to dawn curfew from 5 p.m. to from actually 7 p.m. to 5 a.m. How this is going to impact small businesses that depend on sales to survive, we don't know, but it's an initiative, as Anne put it, that it's time that we take sacrifices and put patriotism and health first, so that we survive this period, because businesses will be there, but we cannot survive this period if we don't take the necessary precautions and personal initiatives to defeat this. That is it that time will give us. We continue this talk online. Go to our Facebook page, CACTV Kenya, our Twitter, CACTV_Kenya, Instagram, CACTV_Kenya, and follow us live on YouTube, CAC TV Kenya. We will keep this conversation going, give your responses, give your comments, and we're going to look at them and feature them in the next episode. God bless you. Keep safe. Stay at home if necessary, and take the necessary precautions. See you next week. Thank you all.